Hey everybody, Presto from the Nintendads here, and today we are doing a first impressions look at Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge. We were lucky enough to get an early access copy of this game, so super big thank you to Dotemu and Tribute Games, the developers and publishers of this game, for the review copy. We are going to have a full review next Wednesday with me and Corporal, but I wanted to give you guys my first impressions, a brief rundown of what I liked. I did make it through a full playthrough of the story so far, and we'll get to all that. But first, let's get off the bat. The footage you see in the background is me playing, kind of poorly, through the first two levels in arcade mode. So we'll talk a little bit about the different modes, but let's get this straight. This game is amazing. If you like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, if you watched the television series growing up, if you played the arcade game, this is such a love letter to the classic 80s and 90s Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. From the music to the graphics to the characters, the story, the whole vibe of the game it rings true, and it really hits the nail on the head for nailing that, like, you know, delicious cowabunga culture of the early 90s. This is a very faithful recreation, not recreation, but a sequel of the arcade game. This very much plays like an arcade game, but a modern arcade game that Dotemu is known so well for doing, for titles like Streets of Rage 4. They take these classic games, arcade games or retro games, and they really add the modern nice-to-haves, a little bit more complexity as far as combos and combat. And again, I'm getting ahead of myself. But yeah, right off the bat, you can play through story mode or arcade. Story mode is you progress and you can level up your characters as you go through story. Arcade is sort of, the description is for players looking for a little more of a challenge. Arcade is you put your quarters in and that's it. You have the lives you have. If you run out of lives, the experience is over. If you close the game, the experience is over. Basically, you have to beat the entire story in one run-through. There's a pretty decent tutorial. It's not an interactive tutorial, but it does go through the button combinations for moves with video examples as opposed to just static images, which is a nice to have. A lot of the other games that have been developed in this style sort of just have a flat, you know, screen that you have to read, but this one gives video examples, which is nice. Yeah, so when you jump into either mode, you're allowed to choose one of the characters. You have the 4 turtles, you have Master Splinter, you have April O'Neil, and you have, of course, Casey Jones, who is amazing. I'm going to say a minor spoiler, so if you don't want to hear this spoiler, just cover your ears. You've been warned. Casey Jones does need to be unlocked when you play. You can't play him off the bat. You will need to complete the story mode, I believe on any difficulty. I did it on normal difficulty, but you will need to complete the story to access him and unlock him. And he's super fun. He uses all the sports equipment. All the characters have very unique attack animations, and actual differences in their gameplay. Their stats are broken down between range, power, and speed. And yeah, I guess let's get into a little bit more of the mechanics. Well, first, so as you play through the story, you will level up your character. And as they level up, they get more health, they get access to more super meter, they get new moves using their super meter. So as you play through story, you will need to unlock or level up each character individually, and I believe that leveling carries through when you do multiplayer, so you're always making some kind of progress. Haven't been able to try multiplayer myself, obviously because the game is in the early review mode, so only other reviewers can play it right now at the moment, so it wasn't able to get into any multiplayer matches, but you can bet your pepperoni pizza that me and Corporal are going to be playing a lot of this game. He's going to be playing it this Friday. I'm going to be playing it next Friday with him. But onward. So yeah, you level up your characters. For the combat and mechanics, which, as you know, is usually my most important thing in a game, the combat and mechanics and combos in this game are fluid, if nothing else. That's how I would describe them, as fluid. It's faster than a game like Streets of Rage. It's a little more arcadey. There's less of a focus on being super technical. But you can be technical. You have a dodge roll button, a dedicated dodge roll button. You have your normal attacks, you have your special attack, which uses your meter. That kind of is great for dealing with larger groups of enemies, or if you're in trouble, because it does have invincibility. You have an air, basically a rising air attack, which is cool. That's an important launcher for getting enemies up into the air or dealing with enemies that are already in the air. You have a dive kick. You have sort of two different dash attacks, where if you're dashing, you can hit jump and you'll do like a slide, or you can hit your attack button and you'll do like a charging attack. And then, of course, you can hold down the regular attack and do a charged heavy attack, which the only utility I've really found for that, besides, you know, doing a fun big hit at the end of a combo, is certain enemies will block, and you can charge up that heavy special attack or heavy regular attack to kind of break their guard in a lot of cases. So yeah, the combat is super fun. A lot of fun ways to juggle enemies, as you'll see in the gameplay here. I'm definitely not an expert. I'm looking forward to getting better at the combo system and being more proficient and flashy in my combos. But enough about that. Onward to levels and story and the boss characters. We'll talk about level and story first. This, I feel like, even though I'm a huge mechanics guy, I care more about combat and controls, the story and the levels are just so densely packed. Each level is supposed to be sort of like an episode of the old TV show, but the levels, the amount of references. Every single level has a boss at the end that is a character from the show, or the old games, or action figures that I remember having as a kid. The levels are just packed full of nostalgia. And as far as replayability, the levels all have challenges to be completed, so you'll have to go through without getting hit. You'll have to, you know, do a certain attack, like a throw, or a specific move on a certain amount of enemies. There are throws, by the way. It works the exact same way as in Streets of Rage 4, where you walk up, you auto-grab them, and then you have some options to slam them or throw them into the camera like the old arcade games, which is kind of cool. But yeah, the levels all have, I'm not going to get too in detail here, because I'll go over all of this in the official review. This is just sort of the first impressions, but there's a lot to unlock at first play. You unlock NPCs, they send you on missions to collect things throughout the levels. Again, almost every level has a challenges to be completed, and then collectibles as well. So between collectibles, between challenges, there's 3 different modes of difficulty you can set the story or the levels on, and you can level up each of the characters individually. There's a lot to do in this game. There is a lot to do in this game. But it's nice, it's light enough that you can sort of pick it up and jump in with friends. But if you want to, you know, really challenge yourself, really sink your teeth in like I like to, there is room to do stuff. The music, oh lord, the music is so good. 2 of the members of the Wu-Tang Clan actually did a track that does appear in the game. I am not going to spoil where it appears in the game, because it is probably my favorite moment in the game when the song comes in. When you get to it, you will know it. They got some of the original voice actors for the Turtles. I believe the voice actors that did the original voices in the game. I don't know if it's from the game or the TV series. But the voice acting is great. It's got that sort of retro feel to it. It doesn't really stick out too much. But the music it slaps, right? Play this game with headphones on. Trust me, it's worth it. Like the chip tunes, it's got the funky beats. The sound effects are on point. Everything is on point with the flair and the flavor of this beautiful pizza of a video game with all the toppings. Back to bosses. Every level has a boss. Some of the bosses are tougher and feel a little more fair than others. But yeah, there's a ton of characters that are in here that I totally forgot about, that I saw them and was just yelling at my screen. Oh, I remember him! I remember him! Yeah, I had an action figure of him growing up, oh my god. There are 2 boss fights in the later part of the game that are epic. I am not going to spoil them for you. Play through the story. Again, you will know them when you get to them, but they're just hilariously awesome. This is a game that I think really leans into the humor of Turtles, and in a very good way, sort of lighthearted cowabunga humor. And that really shines through in the bosses, the design, pretty much everything. This game is awesome, and for 25 bucks on the eShop or other sites, it's a steal. So, thanks for tuning in. We will be playing this game more. Look for our full review coming soon, and cowabunga! My horn! Party, dude! Outstanding!